So in 2017, Kia introduced the Niro lineup, and that offered a different drivetrain basically for anything that you were looking for in terms of an electrified vehicle. That was either a typical hybrid electric vehicle, a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, or a full electric vehicle. And for the 2023 model year, Kia introduced the all-new redesigned Kia Niro. And for today's video, we're going to be reviewing the Kia Niro plug-in hybrid electric vehicle. So this is the SX trim. You can get the EX trim, which starts at about $33,000. And if you want the SX trim, which is going to give you a little bit more luxury, you're going to be looking at a price tag at a little bit more than $39,000. Ours does have the optional cold weather package, so that gives you a heat pump as well as rear heated seats, which brings this specific Niro plug-in hybrid about $41,000 before any state or federal incentives. So for today's video, we're going to dive more into the exterior design of the all-new Kia Niro, as well as the interior, and then do some driving impressions. So before we dive into the details of the Niro plug-in hybrid, let's go over a little bit about plug-in hybrids. Plug-in hybrids tend to be a little bit more controversial for some drivers. However, plug-in hybrids can be a good gateway into getting drivers more comfortable with getting into a fully electric vehicle. For example, the Niro plug-in hybrid offers about 33 all-electric miles before the gas engine kicks in, which is plenty for the majority of people's commutes, whether they're going to work, going to the grocery store, or whatever they need to do. This is a perfect example of what can make a driver comfortable into getting a future electric vehicle.
Now let's move into the exterior of the all-new redesigned 2023 Kia Niro plug-in hybrid. So first of all, this exterior color is known as mineral blue, and we do have the black painted aero blade on the back. That's a $200 option. This is the only color option combo you can get with the aero blade, which kind of sucks because I kind of wish you could actually pick your aero blade color if you wanted that as an option. Now, the front of the Niro here, we do have the SX Touring, so we do have optional features. The first optional feature that you're going to have moving from the EX to the SX, on the SX you're going to get full LED headlights, which look really nice. They have a great, clear, and concise color. As soon as it goes out into the roads, you can actually really see at night. And you get these really cool accents, which are also your turn signals as well. Now also on the SX Touring, you do have these fog lights, which are really nice for at night as well. On the EX trim, you're only going to have a projector style beam. They're not LEDs, unfortunately. I kind of wish Kia would have done that for the EX trim, but at least on the SX you can have nice bright LEDs. Now on the front of the Niro as well, anything that is this gloss black is actually going to be matte on the EX trim. All this other trim, like the satin chrome that you see here on the accent up top on the nose, and then also down here on the bottom, is going to be the same on the EX. But I really like the way this front end looks on the Niro. It's such a better styling option than the first generation, the 2017 through 2022 model years. But I think this looks great. It kind of has a lower stance on it, but I really like the way it looks. It's very clean, it's very classical, it's definitely very, very Kia. But I think this is one of our favorite front end designs from Kia. You can see some of the elements from other EVs and other vehicles that Kia has within their lineup, but the Niro is definitely on its own. Moving on to the side profile of the Kia Niro PHEV, one thing that's different from the EX trim to the SX trim, there are a lot of features that are different, and we're going to point that out to you guys. The first one is you do get front parking sensors in the SX trim, not the EX, but you still get rear in both trims. Another unique feature is actually the front windshield and also the side glass are actually sound absorbing, which actually creates a really quiet cabin inside. Now on the EX trim, you do get the sound absorbing front glass, but not the windshield. Another different factor is the fact that the mirrors are pretty much the same, except for on the SX Touring trim, these are power folding, which are actually really nice. A big feature, however, on the SX Touring are these really nice 18-inch kind of machine finished alloy wheels that you have. Now on the EX trim you do get 16s that are standard, but I really like the way these 18s look. They might impact efficiency just a tad, but I still think with these Continental tires, these are the Pro Contact tires that you get on the 18-inch wheels, they're still a fantastic size. I really like the way these look. Now moving on to the side as well, anything that is, again, gloss black on this SX trim is going to be matte black on the EX trim. You also get roof rails up here, which are really nice in case you want to load anything on top of here like bikes or gear. You also get a standard size sunroof as well. Another different factor between the EX and the SX Touring is the SX Touring, you get these satin chrome tops here on the door handles, but on the EX trim, you would just get body color. Now, speaking of body color, what's really unique about this SX Touring is the fact that on the mineral blue paint, you also get the black aero blade. What's really cool, I think, about the innovation of the second generation of the Kia Niro plug-in hybrid is this is actually a functional air intake that you have that comes behind the taillight right here. So it allows the Kia Niro to be ultra efficient. And I think it's a really great design touch, and I really like the way this is kind of a two-accented piece, and it matches really well to this. Now, the aero blade itself, this is kind of more of a metallic color, and then the gloss black on the SX trim is more of just a standard gloss black. I kind of wish they would have matched these a little bit, but you can't really tell unless you're up close. But I really like the way this profile of the Niro looks. It looks great, it's more handsome, it's more elegant than the previous generation, and I really like the way this mineral blue paint on the black aero blade looks. Moving on to the rear of the Kia Niro, there are some really unique elements of this full redesigned Niro plug-in hybrid. First of all, you have this really cool spoiler that kind of has indents here on the roof that allow for that aerodynamic flow with the aero blades as well. What's really cool is the third brake light on the Niro is actually the entire width of the spoiler. And here you can see it illuminated also with the taillights, which are really nice and bright at night. But I love this design element. These kind of like a boomerang style taillight. And I really like how these are. These are full LED, which are really nice. And this whole third brake light goes here as well. You do have a windshield wiper on here too. You have the new Kia badge and also with the Niro badge. And then here is your plug-in hybrid badge as well. These are kind of like a satin chrome finish. What's really nice about the PHEV on the SX Touring trim, you do get a full power tailgate as well, which is really cool. So just in case your hands are busy, you can walk up to the rear of the vehicle, and then you can also just have the key fob on you, and then you can unlock it that way. Now moving down to the bottom portion of the bumper here, what I like about the SX Touring trim, and actually all the Niros actually, are the fact that these turn signals right here, they're right here on the bottom, these are full LED as well. And they're actually really bright at night, so you can actually see whenever you're turning. And then right above that here is the reverse light, which is also LED and really nice as well. So I like that these are LED. One thing I want to mention though, is the only light bulb on this entire vehicle that is not LED are actually your license plate bulbs. These are actually halogen, which kind of suck. Really wish Kia just would have invested a little bit more money into making these full LED. I'm sure you could switch them out if you wanted to. Just kind of a note on that. I like the silver chrome accented here on the bottom of the bumper. You also have the gloss black up here as well, and then also your integrated parking sensors, and then your backup cameras right here underneath the K in the Kia logo. But overall, I really like the way the rear end styling is of the vehicle. I like that you can kind of see the aero blade skirts of where it would come from the side of the C-pillar all the way to the back. It's just really cool to have these little design element changes from the first generation that make it really unique. The last thing we want to touch on the exterior is where your fuel ports are. Now, your charging port is going to be right here on the front fender, and this is going to be the one you want to prioritize, and we'll talk about charging specs a little bit later. But secondarily, if you wanted to fuel up with gasoline, this is going to be the port right here on the C-pillar. So now that we've talked about the exterior, let's go ahead and dive into the interior of the all-new Niro plug-in hybrid.
Okay, let's jump into the inside of the Niro plug-in hybrid. What's really nice about the plug-in hybrid Niro is that it does have a keyless entry system where you can keep the key fob in your pocket, and there is a touch-sensitive panel right behind the doorknob. All you have to do is grab the doorknob. It will unlock, and on the SX trim, you do have power folding mirrors, where on the EX trim, you do not, so just bear in mind. And if you're going to lock it, there is a touch-sensitive button right there. It will lock, which is a really nice feature, and a lot of vehicles in the market now have that, so it's nice that the Niro does offer that. So let's jump into the inside. The Niro plug-in does look like a crossover on the outside. It does look a little bit taller. However, the step-in height is relatively low, which is really nice. That's accommodating for multiple different drivers, which for me as a taller driver, I do appreciate. It does make it easy to get into the Niro. So let's step in. And let's talk about the driver door panel first. What's really nice about the SX trim is that you do get a 2-setting memory seat, which is really nice for the driver's seat. That is not available on the EX trim, so just bear in mind that you have to go to the SX trim to get that. And what I really like about this design is that you have this this panel right here where you have your window settings as well as your mirror settings that are really within reach whenever this door is shut. You have a really nice piano black accent as well as the Harman Kardon sound system. That sounds fantastic. So pretty nice interior so far, but let's talk about the rest of the interior. Now that we're on the inside of the Niro plug-in hybrid, it is a very well thought out interior and it's very comfortable. I'm 6'1", I have plenty of headroom even with a sunroof that does open. It is powered, it's not a panoramic roof, but this does provide a lot of headspace, which is really nice. You actually have an identical steering wheel that you could find on the Kia EV6, which is really nice. It's a 2-spoke design with all your controls directly in line with your different settings in terms of regenerative braking. And looking at the dashboard, it is super clean and modern. Really like what Kia did with this. Both of these screens are going to be 10.25 inches. This one looks very similar to what you can find on other Kia hybrid models. If you want a digital gauge cluster, you have to go with the fully electric vehicle of the Niro. However, with the plug-in hybrid, you do get this other design, which kind of mixes digital as well as analog gauges, which is really cool. I actually really like this design. And then the 10.25 infotainment screen is really easy to figure out. It's the same operating system that Kia essentially has on all of their vehicles at the moment, and it's very easy to figure out once you get some practice with it. Moving on to the bottom half of the dashboard, you do get a similar setup to what you find in the Kia EV6, where this controls your HVAC control as well as your sound system. Some people like this, other people don't. I think once you get the hang of it, you can figure out what you're trying to do with this. So I really like this design, and I really like that Kia actually gave proper volume knobs as well as tuning knobs. A lot of companies are going away from that. I really like that they provided that. Moving to the bottom half, you do get a wireless phone charger, which is really nice, as well as a USB-C and USB-A port. You do find more piano black down here, which can be good, can be bad. I'm not the biggest fan of piano black, but it does have a nice mixture of matte finish. Your push button to start and turn off the vehicle is right here, and then you do get your different seat controls. What's really cool about the SX trim is that it does come with heated and ventilated seats. The EX trim of the Niro plug-in hybrid does not have ventilated seats, so bear in mind, but that base trim does come with a heated steering wheel as well as heated seats, which is really nice. And then you find other controls down here like your parking sensors, your cameras, and then so forth. Another cool thing is that you do find Kia's shifting knob, which is found in a lot of different Kias, and once you figure out how to utilize it, it's very easy and intuitive as well. So overall, the interior of the Niro plug-in hybrid is very well thought out, and I really like what Kia's done with the materials. Speaking of the materials, let's talk about the seats. So the driver's seat on the EX as well as SX is a 10-way powered seat. If you want those memory settings, as I mentioned earlier, you do have to go with the SX trim. However, the passenger seat remains manual on both of these trims. It is a 6-way manual seat. However, both of these seats are super comfortable. And what's really cool about this is that this centerpiece of the seat is actually plant-based. It's based from the eucalyptus plant, which is really cool. And it just gives this really two-tone color with some nice vegan leather trims on the outside. Another cool fact about the Niro plug-in hybrid, when we're talking about being eco-friendly, the headliner of this vehicle is actually from recycled wallpaper, which is really nice. So that really ugly wallpaper that you could find in your grandparents' house, it could be in the headliner of the Niro plug-in hybrid. So moving on to the back seat of the Niro plug-in hybrid, this is actually a pretty pleasant place to be. What's really cool about the doors, and this is a fun fact, the back doors actually have 3 stopping points, so it really does give you adjustability and easy access into the back seat of the vehicle. Now, as mentioned, I'm about 6'1", and I have plenty of headspace back here. Even with this nice cutout for the Aero blade, there's just plenty of space back here. The seats are super comfortable. What's really nice, if you go with the winter package or the cold weather package, you do get the rear outboard heated seats. So back here, any passengers back here can stay nice and toasty. There are air vents right behind the center console, and there's USB-C ports right on the back of the front seats, which is nice, so you can really keep your devices charged. But what's really cool about the back seat of the Niro is that that same pattern materials that you find on the front seats are found back here as well. So you have nice perforation as well as the vegan leather, and just honestly, the back seat is really, really nice for a compact vehicle. Now that we talked about the interior, let's talk about cargo space, because that is a big factor on whether or not a vehicle will work for you. What's really nice about this Niro is that it does come with a power liftgate, which you can actually change the speed of how it lifts and closes. So just bear that in mind. That is a nice setting. The opening for the trunk is huge. It's wide. It definitely would allow you to put bigger items directly into the interior. However, there is a little bit of a lift from the bumper into the trunk, so just bear in mind. With the seats folded up, it is 19.4 cubic storage feet of storage, and then with the seats folded down, that does increase until about 54 cubic storage feet. So just bear in mind, with the seats folded, you're gonna have a lot more space. But what does that mean in real life terms? Essentially, we went grocery shopping to Costco, Whole Foods, Aldi, you name it, and we were able to fit all of our groceries with the seats folded up. So if you are looking for something that can carry bigger items, or maybe even just go to the grocery store, you will have plenty of options with the Niro plug-in. So let's talk specs about the Niro plug-in hybrid. First off, the Niro plug-in hybrid does have an 11.1 kilowatt hour battery pack, which is good for a driving range of all electric driving, about 31 to 33 miles, depending on your driving style, as well as depending on your trim. If you get the EX trim, you will see a little bit better numbers. If you get the SX, because you have these bigger rims, your efficiency will drop just slightly. Now, underneath the hood of the plug-in hybrid Niro, this is a 1.6 liter 4-cylinder engine that offers 180 combined horsepower as well as 195 pound-feet of torque delivered directly to the front tires, which I will say, we'll get into driving impressions, but this powertrain setup is a lot of fun to drive, and there's a lot of torque that goes directly to the front wheels. Now, if you're wondering about charge time, this is where there's going to be two different levels. First off, you can essentially plug in the Niro plug-in hybrid directly into a 110 line or a typical household outlet that will charge the Niro from about 0 to 100% in about 8 to 10 hours or overnight. Or if you're plugging into a more powerful level 2 charger, this can charge the Niro from 0 to 100% in about 2 hours and 45 minutes. So essentially, there is a bunch of different ways that you can fuel up as well as charge up your Niro plug-in hybrid, but overall, this powertrain is pretty solid. Okay, so we are now driving the Niro plug-in hybrid, and overall, the driving aspects of the Niro are very pleasant. The suspension is very comfortable, it really handles uneven surfaces very well, and acceleration from 0 to 40 when you're in pure electric mode is pretty seamless. There definitely is a lot of power that goes directly to the front wheel through a 6-speed dual clutch transmission. So just bear in mind that this is not like a electric vehicle where it has a 1-speed gearbox. It has 6 gears. But honestly, it drives very well, and the shifting makes it almost seem like it is a 1-speed transmission. Pretty impressive. So one thing that we do not like about the Niro is the regenerative braking setting. And now this is something that we've mentioned on our other reviews of Kia's plugins as well as their electric vehicles. They do offer different adjustments using different paddles on the steering column that gives you the option to change how your vehicle regens or if it just simply coasts. And I really think that this is a place that Kia needs to improve on, because it's not done very well. It's either not enough regen or way too much, and when it comes to one pedal driving, the car will actually lurch forward the moment the car decides to stop in terms of whatever setting you have it on. So it's nice that they give the option, but I'm really hoping that that's just a software update and that Kia can improve that on future EVs.
The unique thing about the paddles is when you're in eco mode, you are changing your regen settings. If you're in sport mode, you're actually using the gas engine, and you can actually change the shift points or the paddles of what gear you're actually in for the transmission, which is kind of cool. But the paddle itself, when you're in eco mode, you can actually hold down the minus to actually act as a one pedal, so to speak, because there really isn't a true one pedal in this vehicle like there is in the pure EV version of the Niro. But it's kind of cool, but it's very harsh in a way where it immediately grabs the front motor and it really brings the car to a stop. If you can modulate it, you can actually bring your car smoothly, the Niro, to a stop. But I just think it's a little too aggressive for this vehicle.
Yes, yeah, and we've taken the time to play around with different levels, and level 2 and 3 are entirely too rough, and level 1 is just, it's enough. But to be honest, I've almost found it better to just drive it without the regen on and just use the physical brake. Utilizing level 2 and 3, the moment you take your foot off the accelerator, it starts regenning, which most EVs do, but this is so abrupt and there's not enough of a transition point between accelerating and using the regenerative braking that makes it comfortable. If you are prone to motion sickness, like I am, that can be a very bad thing. So hopefully Kia can improve that in future renditions of these vehicles. But besides the regenerative braking setting, the inside is very pleasant with these laminated windshields as well as the dual pane front windows. It's very nice and quiet in here. Visibility is fantastic. I can really see behind me, over my shoulders very well, and the mirrors are in a really nice set as well. And the cluster here in terms of like the gauge cluster as well as the infotainment is very easy to read too, super high def, and that's one area that I think Kia really does a good job. So another big pro of the Niro plug-in is the steering. Compared to some vehicles that we've driven where the steering feels a bit too assisted or a bit numb, the Niro plug-in feels kind of right in the middle. It's a very good mixture of tight as well as assisted, but I think that it really works well for what this vehicle is. It's not a big vehicle and it just really makes it easy to drive on the road. One other thing to note as well, this plug-in hybrid system is not like what you would find, like, for example, like on a Chevy Volt, the older plug-in hybrid or extended range electric vehicle GM offered. This is a more traditional parallel hybrid system. So even if you do have a full battery, you have electric range, if you push the throttle too much or the accelerator too much, then your gas engine will kick on immediately. We were able to get up to highway speeds, which we'll demonstrate in a little bit, under full electric, but just bear in mind, the harder you push the vehicle, the more likely the gas engine will kick on.
Speaking of the Niro's size and how it feels on the road, the Niro is in a really unique category in terms of there really isn't a whole lot of plug-in front-wheel drive vehicles. The closest competitor that you can really compare this vehicle to is going to be the Ford Escape plug-in hybrid, because that is also a front-wheel drive vehicle, but it is more of an SUV, a small crossover size. It is a little bit longer than this vehicle, but not by much. You can also compare this to the Crosstrek hybrid, but that comes in all-wheel drive, unfortunately. You could also compare this to, say, the Toyota RAV4 Prime and the Prius Prime, but again, the RAV4 Prime also offers all-wheel drive, as does the Prius Prime as well. So it's kind of in a little unique category, but price point-wise, the closest competitor is just going to be the Ford Escape plug-in hybrid.
So overall, driving the Niro plug-in is really comfortable in the city between smooth shifting and just great outwards visibility. It is a very pleasant vehicle to drive in the city. But let's jump to the highway, demonstrate acceleration and some of the safety features the Niro offers.
Okay, now jumping on the highway in the Kia Niro plug-in. What's great about this is the transition to get on the highway is actually pretty nice. Right now we have it in EV mode, and I'm pushing it about halfway down. If you push it a little bit more than halfway down, that's when you get the gas engine to kick on. But even halfway, like, you still get up to speed relatively quickly in electric mode.
So that beep you're hearing is part of the safety system that comes on the Niro. Essentially, whenever a vehicle's in your blind spot and you turn on the blinker, the car will audibly alert you to look in your mirrors to make sure you have a clear way to merge into the other lane.
So the safety package here on the Kia Niro plug-in is the Kia DriveWise package. Now this does have the highway driving assist features. It doesn't have highway driving 2, which is the autonomous features like in, say, the EV6, for example. So this one does have highway driving assist. You click the button here on the top part of the steering wheel. It'll let you set your distance and your speed. And it'll make the speed based on either the navigation or what you set the speed to actually be. Then what's nice is you can just keep there, and it does have lane keep assist and departure as well, just in case you're accidentally going out of your lane. It'll keep you within your lane. You can feel it steer a little bit, but it does a really great job of actually keeping you center here on the actual part of the lane. Other than that, you just kind of have your basic features like the blind spot that was just going off. You have your front and rear collision as well, just in case someone cuts you off or you're getting too close to an object within the road. But it's a really great system. I do find that a lot of Kia's like highway driving assist does ping pong on the lane markings from time to time. This one does a really good job. I do feel it occasionally, but it still does a great job. Of course, you need to stay attentive when you have these systems on. Keep your hands in the wheel, your eyes straight forward at all times, just keeping aware of your surroundings. But here on the highway, I think it's actually pretty quiet. It's relatively quiet with the sound installation that you have in the windshield and in the side windows as well.
Yeah, it feels very similar to what it's like to ride and drive in the city. It's very pleasant of an interior. Like, I think Kia did a really good job with the sound deadening features that they've added to the Niro. So one final thing that we do want to mention about the plug-in hybrid Niro is that, as Tyler mentioned, you can get up to speed and drive in pure EV mode. And this is one benefit of a plug-in hybrid. As long as you keep it charged, that's where you're going to see the most efficiency as well as performance. If you do drive it as, say, for example, like a standard hybrid, you still will see about 48 to about 52 miles per gallon, depending on your driving style. But overall, plug-in hybrids are meant to be plugged in and driven on EV mode. So just bear that in mind if you are shopping for a plug-in hybrid.
Yeah, and then once you're here on the highway, once you run out of electric range, like for example, we only have 6 miles left of EV range, it'll go into hybrid mode and still power that motor, but it just acts as more like a traditional hybrid than it would if you're plugged in. But I still think it's pretty efficient as long as you're not speeding. Yeah. On the highway, you can actually see, you can actually keep your electric miles pretty high.
So anyways, that is going to be our review of the 2023 Kia Niro plug-in hybrid. Overall, it is a fantastic electrified vehicle. However, there are some flaws that we really hope that Kia does improve on over time. But the vehicle, as of right now, is a very solid option if you are looking to get into a plug-in hybrid vehicle. If you like this video, make sure you like and share with your friends. Make sure to subscribe to the CleanTechnica YouTube channel. Check us out on our many other social platforms, and we'll catch you guys in the next car review.